All right, Austin. I think we're in a place to be. I think we're up. How you doing, man? You feeling good tonight?
I'm feeling great tonight. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you being here. So, one thing I thought would be interesting to talk about, would maybe start this conversation on, was just that you seem to be or have that fitness kind of background, and I can definitely relate to that. And I guess maybe we should just start this off. What was the motivation? Have you always been a fitness person, or did something make you say, "Hey, I want to start going down the fitness journey and see what happens"? Or what happened, man? What's up?
So I guess it's kind of was ingrained in me from the moment I remember, right? Mom ran track in college, so she was, I believe, a Division II hurdler, sprint hurdler.
Nice.
Dad was in the Navy. So I remember being about 4 years old, and it was like, okay, I'm a dual sport athlete at 4. I've got Taekwondo tournaments to train for. I've got basically 100-meter dashes to train for, right? So this whole ideal of doing your stretches, lifting weights, and kind of practicing your craft has always been there, right? This idea of if you work hard, you're going to get better at something. So it's always kind of been something I use to, I guess, just keep working on something, get better at whatever I'm doing next in life.
So you've always had the athletic background. I mean, you came with it from your parents, it seems like, and then you just kind of got it ingrained into you as well.
Yeah, yes. I was going to be an athlete no matter what. Kind of. That's. I
So you said something
think that's
about
how
Taekwondo tournaments. I mean, is that kind of what started it for you, or was that just something you were doing as a kid, and then it kind of grew out from there?
Yes and no. I think the Taekwondo tournaments is really where I started to realize, okay, like me being stronger is going to convert into my real life, right? Because at that point, I'm 5 years old, training for my first tournament. There's not a whole lot of real life for me outside of that tournament. Realistically, I'm 5, don't have anything else to do at the time. Now, I guess that's where it started, and because of that, it's always been kind of looking more towards the okay, well, I've got something to do, whether it's track, playing football, playing basketball when I was older.
Mm.
We got something to do that I want to get better at, right? So kind of this ideal of we're always going to start with something and try and end up better at that same something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, exactly kind of what you said earlier. Like whatever you're putting into something, I firmly believe that you're going to get that right back out of it. And yeah, I mean, but everyone's got their day one versus their day, year three on anything they do in life. But it's one of those things that, you can't be afraid to take chances at something and try something new. And just that, I never had one of those opportunities of actually doing taekwondo or any kind of karate just because I grew up in a
Okay.
very, very rural area. But it's one of those things that, ooh, what if I could actually try that, at age 5 and see what happened. And it's always appealed to me. It's like MMA stuff and just, the discipline they have, and the type of training they do, and just the mindset of it all. It's something it's just for some reason I'm just drawn to it, but I've just never went and took the deep dive to go actually and try it out yet.
Honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a great stress reliever. And I think the thing about it, whether you do like you look into a jujitsu or a mixed martial arts, because I ended up doing mixed martial arts a bit when
Nice.
I was in college, you're gonna end up using more muscles than I think most people think they have. I would say kind of I guess the way I would explain that is you don't really know you have that muscle until it's sore, kind of a deal.
Sure.
So the I guess just this whole goal of it's really going to get a full body burn, so to speak, going on. You're really going to get in tune with every last one of your muscles. You're going to have to figure every little movement out, and it's definitely an interesting way to train.
Yeah, somebody called it one time. They called it complex problem solving, and like while you're working out, and just because
Mhm.
I don't want this to be like a martial arts or MMA podcast or anything, but just that you're trying to figure out like what Austin's doing, then you're trying to figure out what I'm doing at the same time, and how to like do a different maneuver, and like how to get out of something, and like I'm still trying to figure out how to keep you in a certain movement at the same time. And just like you said, though, it's you don't really know what muscles are working because it's such a full body thing, and you never really know that like holding somebody, like how hard that really is, like a person who is like
Oh
X
yeah.
amount of pain, and just try to keep them in a position that you want them in, and like in that time under tension of just keeping them in like that. It's just like when just at times like I've just been wrestling around with my brother and stuff, it's like whoa, it's just, but trying to do
Oh
that
yeah.
what is it? They do 3-minute rounds or whatever. It's like,
3 minute rounds. Yeah.
wow, man.
But I mean, when you first get into it, it's like 30 seconds of wrestling and rolling. You're like, and it's just like, man. I remember making I guess the first time I started training for mixed martial arts, I was making the move from Taekwondo, where you're only stand up striking, to having to roll with jujitsu guys. And it was like 30 seconds in. I'm like, dude, let me go. Leave me alone. Let go of me. I'm tired. I'm out. Like, let me go.
I mean, I hear you on that, man. But the reason you're here, though, you're helping people now kind of stay fit and find a balance of getting stronger and just seems like just all out, just a better lifestyle at a certain age. Is that kind of what your motive is?
100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is this a new business you started? Is this something you've us said, hey, I want to, try this angle, or what was the motivation behind that part?
I guess behind starting the business as a whole,
Yeah,
or
starting the business and just that I think
okay.
you focus on like just helping dads really.
Yes. So I had been a youth coach for 7 years before I did this. And I guess the catalyst comes from a couple different places. One of them is my years as a youth coach. The other one, when I was in school, I studied psychology,
Nice.
did a lot of independent research on different factors that would affect drug use and abuse and young adults. So kind of figuring out, okay, are there certain things that parents can do that are going to affect certain addiction level outcomes? That's what most of my research was about. So this ideal of looking at behavior and figuring out, okay, what's the outcome of certain behaviors, right? It's kind of the way I explain it is, if you take that age old saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard that.
Sure.
Imagine that in high definition. Pretty much is where it all started, right? Figuring out, okay, well, dads are doing this. We're having this reaction out of a kid on the court. How are those things related? Or I'm having a dad lose his cool entirely at halftime on one of my wide receivers. His production dramatically goes down in the second half.
Mm.
And this is a kid that's got the highest production numbers in the league that we're playing in. So it's like, okay, well, there are obviously certain behaviors that are having an effect. So in between that specific research and that experience as a youth coach, it all kind of, I guess, tied together and a high definition version of the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Me saying, if I'm going to solve the problems that I started working with kids to solve in the first place, realistically, there's going to have to be some sort of change in structure at home. I guess I got to a point where it was like, I realized, okay, so me working with you one-on-one for an hour is great. But at the same time, year 12. So when you get home, I'm telling you, you need to eat this, go do that, and this, that, and the other. You're not the one grocery shopping. You don't have control over what the budget is for groceries this week. You're not the one who's determining who gets in the car when to go to the gym. And so because of that, I got to a point where it's like, I don't feel like I'm wasting my time, but I feel like for me to make the difference I'm trying to make, I need to go about it in a different direction.
Okay. That makes sense. So going back a little bit though, you said, like some, either a child would have an outburst or random outburst, or a dad would have an outburst during halftime or whatever. And, does that kind of stem, I mean, with your psychology background, because there's something deeper going on and they're kind of lashing out and taking it out on X, Y, and Z rather than actually trying to solve like what problem they have going on, or like the addiction?
Oftentimes, yeah, it can be. Just if you want a short answer to a very complex question, the
Sure.
answer is yes. Uh, there's no real, I guess, limit to the list of things that can be going on with somebody though. So for the different clients I work with, we could have two guys in very similar situations and them have two different completely things that they're stressed out about, two different issues, I guess, at hand all the
Yeah.
time. So with finding those issues, oftentimes it starts with the symptoms, and then you think about kind of back engineering something. So kind of the same idea of, okay, I'm going to take this dirt bike motor apart to figure out how it goes together. You want to, I guess, look at, let me take apart this behavior of you're having an outburst at halftime. So I guess if we want to look at it in detail, right? Starting with why are you having this outburst? He's not getting good enough yards. I could play him for one half of the game all season and he would still be in top of the league for yards, receiving yards.
Hmm.
So you freaking out about that, like, you see what I'm saying, in the
Yeah.
context of today and what's going on, that's not an appropriate thing for you to lose your cool about. So I guess the first time I saw this, the example was a kid who's 12 years old having 100, I don't know if you're familiar with football, but
I know. I'm not familiar with it. Yeah.
120 receiving yards on a Saturday,
Sure.
right? As a 12-year-old. 100 of those yards come before halftime. He gets chewed out at halftime, comes back in for 20 yards. And this is, yeah, because he's getting harassed to the level that fans from the other side are coming over to me and the rest of my coaches going, hey, is that kid okay? Like, do we need to, like, like, people are genuinely concerned. Do we need to do something about
Sure.
the fact that he's getting cursed at loud enough for the other stand section to hear?
Yeah. Is that
But
is that just, the parents seem to always want to make, I'm trying to think of how I need to put this, that, that kid is living their parents' dream rather than living his own dream. And so he's
Mhm.
only doing or playing, he or she's only playing a specific sport and trying to please their parents just because they were told to do that. And like I said, it was their dream and not really their dream. Does that kind of make sense? And so,
Exactly. So I guess
yeah,
the way, yeah, I was just gonna say, the way I explain that usually is, or the way I look at that is like, hey, and this is talking to a parent, right? Hey, you've got to learn to look through a window instead of looking in a mirror all the time, right? So when we're looking in that mirror in terms of our kids' life, it's like this is what I know, this is what I view as possible, right? Because it's right, it's all right here, it's all right around me. Like if I'm looking at the little picture box of me, that's my mirror. I can see
sure.
the window over here. But that's my experience. That's all I know. This is a different kid. They think different than you. They want different things than you. They may not have the same goals as you.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to see the other side of what's going on in their life looking in the mirror. You don't see anything on the other side, right? So I need you to look in a window and understand that this is a different person than you. They've got a different life to live. They're their own DNA. They're their own everything. Kind of looking at it through that lens of I don't need you to look at what you know, I guess, but I need you to look at what's in front of you.
Mm,
What's in front of you that you don't know, right? What's different about this, you can call it this version of you, your child, what's different about what they want as opposed to what you want. So you can't keep looking at things from the idea of this is what I know because I see it in my view.
yeah.
They've got their own view. For y'all to come together, you're gonna have to need to see their view.
So, I know you said you went to school for psychology. I mean, like this is something you took a deep dive and like started studying. I don't know do you just have a bachelor's degree? Do you have a master's? Did you mean you have a doctorate? I mean, you seems like you
So,
done your homework on this, obviously, no pun intended, but
well, yeah, right. So I have a bachelor's degree, and for 3 of the 4 years that I was in a bachelor's degree, I was doing multiple independent research projects.
mm,
So kind of doing my own research work on top of the school curriculum. So I
okay.
think that's what people ask. It's like, do you have a master's degree? It's like, no, I didn't. I didn't want to pay the people that much. It's going to be a very expensive degree. So I
No,
was like, well,
I understand that. But
we're going to get the most out of this bachelor's degree that we possibly can. So I was working all the time on something in college.
so it sounds like you kind of took that along with you now, like with that work ethic and that mindset that we've been talking about, and coaching others, coaching youth sports, and now, like we said, you're ready to coach dads trying to get them to a healthier lifestyle. I mean, what type of, I mean, are you just working with people who feel like, hey, also I'm overweight. Hey, I just don't feel good today. Hey, man, like I just want to look better when in the mirror. Like you were saying, like is this
Yes.
kind of the people that your demographics that you kind of seem to get or what?
I guess I would say my main demographic is parents, specifically the dads that are going, well, I don't have time to do this and I don't have time to do that, right? I'm ripping and running, doing 100 different things. That's because for me that's where it all started is extra football dads who wanted help and were like, hey, I don't really have time to work out. It's like, okay, well, no, you have time. Let's let me go through your schedule. I want to teach you about finding time, right? So that's, I
Sure.
guess, actively what the goal for the particular demographic is that you've got dependents, you don't have a lot of time. We need to figure out how we're going to get you the results that you need so you can be the kind of role model that you want to be in a timely fashion.
Yeah, that's one of the things that obviously, time waits for no one, and time is probably one of the it is to me one of the most valuable things that you can ever have in life. But
Well,
yeah, and just for a simple workout, and like I don't know how much you know about me, but I'm one of these CrossFit bros and been doing it for the last 10 years. And some
nice.
workouts will last, 5 minutes or so. And like you really feel
Oh, yeah.
wrecked afterwards you did it right. Like the one I did tonight was 18 minutes. Right. I mean, that's still less than 30 minutes. And yeah, so you
And that's
don't
what
need
I need
yeah,
to tell people.
yeah, you don't need, I mean, I think it's a misconception and that some people think, oh, I need an hour plus just to work out. And like, yeah, I mean, depending on what your goals are, yeah, or whatever, right? You probably do. Depends on the
Right.
situation. But you can like I guess my point is that you can in 30 minutes or less, you can get a pretty good workout and feel wrecked and like, oh man, all right. And then feel good about yourself. Like I got it in, and I'm ready to go. And like, let me recover, eat something, and like I'm ready to go again the next day, right? Like and that's
Exactly.
yeah, it's one of these misconceptions with fitness, I think, or just healthy lifestyle.
But but I love that you brought that up because it's something that I'm dealing with constantly. So the I guess the conversation that I always feel like I'm having is, hey, so I know that we're gonna work out on this particular plan that you've got me on twice a week,
Hmm.
but I can I can find time kind of like you said these 3 other days and I want to go lift those 3 days. It's like I don't need you to get in the gym 6 days a week.
Sure.
I simply do not. There's recovery that you need, there's sleep that you need, there's all of these other things that have to be done. I don't need you in there 6, 7 days a week for an hour and a half a day. And I feel like that's almost the conversation I'm having most often. Like I think I have that conversation with every single one of my clients,
Sure.
especially when they get to the point of like, okay, they're feeling good. They feel that initial, hey, energy boost. I'm feeling back to being great. It's like, okay, now that we've got all this extra motivation, let's worry about what we're eating. Let's worry about how much we're sleeping. Let's apply this appropriately. I don't need you to throw it all at bench press because we're
There
going to
you
end up
go.
hurt 2 months from now, right? So I guess a lot of it's about managing motivation. But I'm really glad you brought that up because I think managing motivation in terms of where we're putting our efforts is super important.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that, when I go to the grocery store, and, I coach CrossFit on the side too, that, people will come up to me
Sure.
and, it's like they've been in the gym before, but they, left 5 days later or whatever. And there's like, well, really wasn't for me. Or there's like, oh, they always found, there's always a million reasons to say no to something, right? Like, or I could find an
Right.
excuse, like why you can't do
Right.
something today. So, going into a grocery store, if I see a former member at our gym, they come up to me like immediately, and I'm just, just doing my thing, and I'll just say, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And there's, "Oh, I'm coming back to the gym. I'm coming." Like I just said, "What's up, man? That's fine. I mean, keep on coming. You can come whenever you want to." But I think,
Right.
and my point is that I think everyone immediately thinks that, oh, and I don't know if it's like they get wrong information from social media or whoever they're listening to, but it's just like, hey,
I think that might be it.
yeah, that, hey, I have to work out 7 days a week, 2 hours a day just to get to my whatever goal or whatever it is. But it's like, no, bro, like you said, sleep and recovery are so things that are so underestimated in the gym. Yeah.
Underestimated, underrated.
Yeah, well, not yeah, underrated. There we go. That are underrated.
Well, I guess let me ask you this, because the way I usually explain this, I always try and explain some things through an analogy, some kind of way to make it, I guess, make it less complicated.
Sure.
The sleep analogy that I often use is a kitchen remodel. So have you ever like remodeled a kitchen bathroom or seen it on HGTV or
Yeah, I know.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I've seen it on TV.
right? So it's the same kind of thing as working out. When we're in that weight room, right, we're tearing muscles down, stimulating the muscles to grow, kind of really going through tearing stuff out, right? In that same kitchen remodel, it's a lot more fun to take a sledgehammer to a countertop than figure out plumbing, right? If all you do is take a hammer to your kitchen, you will not get the kitchen you want. You get a hole where your old kitchen used to be. And that same right in fitness, right? You've got to bring in the right nutrition, right? You've got to bring in the new granite countertop. You've actually got to take the time to rest and recover. You've got to actually wait for your install team to put the stuff in, okay, for you to get to the goal of the new kitchen. It's all the same way. All of these steps are important, and I think we're in an industry where the fun steps get considered important and the not fun steps don't get considered important.
Hmm. Yeah, everybody wants to take the red pill and get results instantly, and then if they don't see it within, or it's a blue pill, whatever pill it is, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't see results in a week. Yeah, if you don't see results in a week, then you're like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna find something else. But you got to trust the process, and that whatever you do, like you got to give it a certain amount of time. Like at least I always say, when I'm asked about, programming or nutrition or whatever, that, I can give you what works for me and I can help you out along the way, but you just can't stop, a week in or 2 weeks in. You got to, figure it out from there, and just kind of like what you said, and you got to make these good decisions. And it's like the snowball effect, and just let it keep building up and building up. And yeah, you can have like kind of a, I don't like using the word cheat day, but if you don't be scared to go out and have a hamburger, that's me. That's what I do. But
Right, right.
yeah, but still, at the end of the day, though, you got to know that. All right, I had one burger. I'm cool. Let me get back on to my rest of my meals or whatever my plan is or whatever. You just got to trust the process and don't fault programming for whatever. But
Yeah.
it's like people, I guess, because of the modern world or society, culture, whatever you want to say, is just where we can have food delivered instantly. We can just go on TV and pull up something
Yeah.
and watch something. Everything's like at an instant basis, right? Like just to
Right.
feel all of our needs, except if it's losing weight or building muscle or having a better mental aspect on life or whatever it is, that doesn't become instantaneously. That's something that people got to work at, in which, it feels like people are, like, you're talking about the athlete background. Even LeBron James, he was going to be 6'8" no matter what growing up, but he still had to play ball and work at it. Yeah,
Right.
he was blessed with
Exactly.
what he had, but he still had to learn to play ball in some sorts. So
Exactly.
yeah, it doesn't come that easy for everybody, but yeah, just people. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's just you gotta, hard work brings great rewards.
That, and I often try and tell people, because that's another great point you brought up. A lot of it is just kind of like you said, snowballing, right? So I don't kind of what I was saying. I don't need you in here 7 days a week.
Sure.
You're going to do that for 2 weeks and quit, right? If I tell you I need you in here 2 days a week, and as far as your diet goes, I'm going to teach you how to make the animal fries from In-N-Out in an air fryers. They're healthy for you, and make chocolate milkshakes with protein powder instead of a bunch of ice cream and stuff like that.
Sure.
Which, side note, I don't know if you've tried this. I just tried it recently. Use vanilla protein powder and like a chocolate Nesquik as opposed to chocolate protein powder. It makes it taste like melted ice cream.
Okay.
I've needed to tell somebody about that for like the past week and a half. So thank you for
All
letting me
right.
get that off
All right.
just tonight. To you and all the viewers at
Cool,
home.
man.
Guys, go try it. No more chocolate protein. Get vanilla protein. Put extra chocolate in it. The vanilla will kind of bring out this melted ice cream sort of melt.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all of those little things. It's just like I don't need you in here 7 days a week. I need you to add up 7 little things that you like this week.
Yeah. Well, especially,
So from there.
one of the misconceptions with CrossFit is that people come in and they really have, and not everybody. but some cases that a person who hasn't done anything in 10, 12, 15 years, ever since they got out of college, they just kind of just got started working and had the family,
Right.
gained some weight and lived that sedentary lifestyle. But they come in and they instantly think just because of maybe what they did 15 years ago of benching, what if it was 225, deadlifting 135, whatever it is, that, oh, I can easily do this when I haven't done anything in X amount of years. So just let me go ahead and, you know, let my ego get the best of me. And like, cause I see this person
Right.
over here doing this, it's like, I can do that too. You know, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. Right. so,
Right.
and that's where people instantly think that, okay, well, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to do it 21 times and may or may not always, but they, pull muscle, get hurt or whatever. But it's just like,
Mhm.
hey, like you're saying 2 or 3 days a week, you don't have to be in there 7 days a week, man. Just come in there, get a feel for it. All right. Since you had let your body adjust a little bit, take a rest day, come back the next day, and and listen to your body. Your body will say, like, hey man, we're still kind of hurting a little bit. So, why don't we back the
Yeah.
weight off a little bit? Or, why don't we just go about 70% instead of full 100% today? It's little things like that that makes a huge difference.
That's 100% accurate. I think I was when you were saying that, I was thinking, I wish the phrase "no pain, no gain"
Oh man.
wasn't such a popular
Good
phrase. It's
point.
like
Good point.
we're not coaching you to get hurt. And I think that's kind of I would imagine you deal with it because I deal with it all the time. It's like it is not my goal to put you through workouts and coach you till you get hurt. Okay. Here's the deal. I've run track in college, played a year of college football, played football in high school,
Nice.
ran in school, played basketball in high school. I raced dirt bikes as a kid as well. It's like if you want realistically for me to find a workout that I can push you through that is going to absolutely tear you apart and destroy you,
Mm-hmm.
believe you, I could do it off the back of my hand. I wouldn't even have to go home and plan for it. I could give you that workout right now. It's what, 8:32 now. I could have it over to you by 8:35. You know what I mean? It's already in the back of my mind. But then we got to ask ourselves this question of, is that going to be helpful?
Sure.
Okay. Is it, because back to, I guess, the remodel analogy, is it going to be helpful to go in with a bulldozer when you needed a hammer and now we're not? We've got all of this extra that we've got to rebuild later.
Yeah. A lot of it is that, we were talking about misinformation and people just kind of catching off what they're watching on Instagram or TikTok and just going, oh, they're doing it. So
Mhm.
maybe I should do it, and I was on a podcast the other day and we were talking about DK Metcalf for the Seattle Seahawks. And there was a quote from Sports Center
Yeah.
talking about how he eats. And I don't know if you saw this, but it was on Instagram. I saw he eats like five
See,
bags.
I already know what quote you're talking about.
Yeah,
This
5 bags of gummies, and like he drinks coffee
the
and has one dinner or something like that, right?
one meal a day, half of it's candy,
Yeah,
and
it's
got
like what like what the heck,
something.
bro? Like not everybody can do that, but I think that's where people kind of get misconstrued and they see something like that and they're like, oh, well,
Mhm.
DK Metcalf's doing it, so why not? I'll eat like that too, you know?
It's like, hey, you're not DK Metcalf, man, and
Yeah.
I don't tell you that because I want to be mean. I don't tell you that to sound nasty. I tell you that because I care and I want to see you do well.
Exactly.
You are not DK Metcalf. You cannot treat your body like you have literally the most God-given genetics that exist. Okay, you can't do it. I can't do it. If I grabbed 100 random people, the chances are none of them would be able to do it. DK Metcalf is that much of an outlier, but it's like
Exactly.
I think we're at a point now on social media where everybody's favorite outlier somehow is like oh, this is normal now. This is what we should view as regular.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I guess because you see so much of that, and that if you kind of, I guess, kind of take that dive and surround yourself with that, and that's all you're looking at is these people who are looking like DK Metcalf, and like you don't really know
Right.
what they're doing behind the scenes, except, and I'm not saying DK Metcalf is not eating gummies and eating whatever he's doing, but I'm just saying these other people might be saying they're doing that, but they're probably not really doing that. I mean, because like you said, he's an outlier, along with who's it? Ocho Cinco eats McDonald's every day apparently, and
Yeah.
which I
But
mean I guess he does. I don't know, but
I don't know. One other thing I wanted to bring up with you and kind of, I guess, just see what your thoughts were on it. like I'm not saying that these guys are not the most legitimate athletes in the world,
Sure.
but to some degree, they are also entertainers in a way. Like when you look at the constant social media presence, when you look at guys doing podcasts and TV outside of the NFL or the UFC, when we look at like if we look at like Sean O'Malley per se, a UFC fighter who's
Sure.
always doing podcasts and different things, he's as good of an entertainer as he is a fighter, right? But that's it's kind of what it takes to keep booking the contracts. So I think sometimes they say things that are entertaining because they book contracts and people are like, oh yeah, DK Metcalf is eating gummy worms all the time. I can do that. It's like DK Metcalf is being funny because he just signed a $10 million deal to make sure that the whole country likes looking at what he's doing and and finding entertainment and value in what he's doing.
Yep.
So some of it's like a these guys are world class athletes, yeah. But the Sean O'Malley is the example I bring up because if you go through and look at his Instagram page, he's doing like these how to win in the street fight tips, and they're all absolutely terrible tips on fighting. Right?
Yeah.
They're he would never do in a fight.
Yeah,
And
you're completely right in that, because that's something I've been thinking about more and more often. Is that because I'm one of these podcast guys. Like during when I'm working, like that's if I don't have like a couple albums that I'm listening to, it's always like it's a podcast. Like let me queue up a podcast. But I bounce around between like Joe Rogan and a bunch of comedians, and sometimes some Barstool Sports got
like
some.
Joe Rogan a lot.
Yeah, and it's just that. And my point to what you're saying is that Joe Rogan, I feel like most of what he's saying is probably 99% accurate or 98, whatever. But there is some stuff he plugs, like he's always plugging like liquid IV and and I guess there's good science behind liquid IV and there's little hydration packets. But I think, and I could be wrong on this, that's why I need a fact checker on here. But I think there's a lot of sugar in that. And like it's like 60% sugar of your daily value or something, which I mean,
No.
and then he goes on to when he has these diet discussions about how sugar is so bad for you, which I'm not saying sugar is good for you. And then, and there's also like, Floyd Mayweather, there was some science behind when after all of his workouts, he would drink a Coke and eat a Snickers or something like that. Right. But,
Mhm.
For people who are not really doing, like a Floyd Mayweather workout or type of these really intense training type styles, they're just drinking liquid IVs just because like, oh, Joe Rogan said it was good. So it's keeping me hydrated. But it's really, like
Yeah.
I said, if you're not doing anything else, you're not doing your homework. There's a lot of sugar than that you probably don't need to be putting into your body.
That was another one. Apparently, Gatorade is actually like that as well. And you're not
Exactly.
supposed to be sitting around drinking even Gatorade all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And just that, I don't know how much sugar is in Gatorade, but now they have a Gatorade Zero and stuff. But I
I think
think
it's
that's
like
kind of where the science was behind it, because somebody else used to put or talk about, I think it restores your glucose or glycogen in your muscles. I always get them confused, but there is some good science behind it. I'm not saying there's not, but I think that if you're not playing, an elite NBA basketball game, football game, and you're just pounding Gatorades all day thinking you're being healthy, well, I think it's almost like to equivalent of a soda drink. If I heard that, that's why I need a fact
yeah,
check on here. But yeah,
I
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is that, but you got to, that's what I'm trying to say. That's my point, is that you got to do your homework with whatever you're putting into your body, and just knowing that, hey, I like DK Metcalf, I like Joe Rogan, and I still like it. I got all the respect for him, but I probably shouldn't be eating 5 bags of gummies, and maybe, yeah, maybe he got paid $10 million to say that or whatever. But yeah,
but that's the thing that people don't understand. It's like these companies are paying the millions to say things like that because they know you will go out and buy 20 bags of Haribo gummies if DK Metcalf says he eats Haribo gummies. That's so at a certain point, that's kind of what I have to do with a lot of my clients. It's like, okay, let's turn in a little bit.
yeah,
How do you feel realistically when you eat a whole bag of gummy worms?
yeah. I mean, well, that's
Does it
good. Just I feel like we're not we, but you know, mainly a lot of population is lacking into that. You know, what is good nutrition versus bad nutrition? What is a decent meal versus a bad meal, and
Mhm.
that growing up, I never had that. And I didn't come from a very athletic family or anything, but it was just something that I just thought food was food. I was like, whatever, I'll just get chicken strips and fries or whatever it is when I was little. And I never really cared if it was processed or ultra processed or whatever it was. It was just food to me. But now, it's like,
Granted, I grew up with that same mentality, though. I
okay,
mean,
yeah.
my dad was in the Navy. He was eating random chicken substitutes out of boxes in the middle of the field in Japan. Like he's not, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
He's not going home going, all right, we need gourmet fresh foods.
Yeah.
But that's a point that I don't think enough people talk about. That what you just mentioned, like not knowing the difference between a good meal and a bad meal. So a lot of times I end up having that conversation with people, and it's like you don't have to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice only to
Hmm.
be healthy. A lot of times you can eat the same foods you already want to.
That's a lot of
It's
it right there, man.
it's very recipe based. And I had one guy go, but I like chocolate cake. It's like, okay, do you have a blender? Yes. All right, I want you to take a couple oats, put them in a blender. For whatever you would use flour for, use that blended oat substitute.
Nice.
Instead of using brownie mix or something like that, chocolate protein powder. Then I want you to make a cake as you normally would. And now you've got this extremely protein dense snack. That's also chocolate cake. That's also lower in calories than chocolate cake, but higher in protein and micronutrients. So it's one of those things that like we can make almost anything you want.
Sure.
If I'm gonna be honest, it just it we've got to get rid of the ultra processed. Hey, this came out of a box, went in the microwave for 40 seconds, and is now on a plate in front of me.
Mm. And I just want to clarify, I just looked it up that liquid IV has 11 grams of sugar per packet. So whatever,
Okay.
I don't know how what that equivalent to is of a soda or a candy bar or something like that. But anyway, but yeah, that's just what people have to get a better relationship with food, I guess, just because, even today, and I'm not saying anything bad
Yeah.
about my family or anything, but just that, even today, and they kind of know how I like to eat, which is basically just like what you said. Hey, like I know I'll eat out, but I try not to eat out often, right? Um,
Right.
it was always too, and I guess that kind of goes back from my childhood. Like every meal, we almost ate out every time. I don't. I think it was just because moms didn't like to cook. Sorry, moms, if you're listening. I think that's pretty much what the reason was.
Right.
But now it's just like I got so tired of that now it's just, I like to run home and it's like I can easily make up a decent meal that I know that works for me and my body and that I know I'm going to feel good the next day and during my
Right.
workouts and my training and when I do competitions that I'm going to be good. So, but even to this day, that some people are just like, oh, let's just run out and get a pizza because it's so easy, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. And it's just like, oh
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
and then it's also that you what is it, McDonald's? I forgot who said this, but you can basically feed a family of four for like $20 or something, right? At McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just like, wow, it's just like we're just promoting it so easy, just to making it so easy for people just to, say like, hey, I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. So let's let me run over to get this and those in and out or whatever it is and just bring it home. So, and then, it's like, again, the snowball effect. Then you don't realize like, hey, 5, 6 days out of the week, I'm, eating like this and how much it's actually adding up.
Right.
Then you wonder
This
what
is
happened.
this issues.
Yeah,
Right.
you wake up one morning, your
Right.
pants don't fit or whatever. And you're like, shit.
It's like, well, hey, we tried to talk about this a couple months ago. It's a little late now. We gotta backtrack, right? It's
Yeah.
just,
Do
now
you
we gotta do a
give
little bit of work.
do you give a lot of people rude awakenings when you're talking with them, or people just kind of like you're blowing their minds just because they don't actually realize like the information you're giving them? I guess does that kind of make sense what I'm trying to say?
Um, yes and no. I don't like look at myself like every time I speak, I blow somebody's mind. But like
Okay.
there are definitely times where I have conversations with people and they say something, and I would almost describe it as being the opposite, where they say something to me and my mind is blown, right?
Mhm.
I've had somebody say to me, well, the cheapest way I know how to feed my family of four is to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Now my mind is blown because I know right now I can call over my little brother. There's two roommates, bring them to my house. I can run to Kroger, get 5 pounds of literal potatoes for $5, air fry that, and put some ground beef on top of it if I got four to feed. And all of us are somewhat young men. The rest of those boys are taller than I am. I would probably need around 3 pounds of ground beef, which is $12.99 if I remember correctly right now.
Probably.
So based on having a pan and an air fryer, I can feed all four of us for $15, much healthier, and still have leftovers.
Mm.
Right? It's like, but they don't know that. And to me, it's like, oh, it's mind blowing that you wouldn't even like think about trying something different
Sure.
than McDonald's.
Do you think that there's too much information out there? And I guess what I'm getting at is just that because,
Yep.
you
I
know,
already agree with you.
okay, cool. Because and like
Yep.
for those listening though, I like to experiment, play around with nut diets and stuff. And I think now when people are actually saying like, I kind of feel like I am kind of shitting on people, but not giving the benefit of the doubt because I'm pretty sure everyone Googles stuff right now, right? That
Yeah.
but it's so easy, like when you Google, like, how to lose weight or how to fast way to lose 20 pounds or whatever. But there's so much like, carnivore, keto, paleo, carb cycle, low carb, uh, vegetarian, vegans. Like there's so much out there that they just have no idea where to begin at. And it's just almost overwhelming for a person. They're just like, all right, whatever. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing there because I have no clue even where to start at. Right.
Right. So I've kind of got this working theory on that, and
I like new theories.
all right, I guess I want to tell it to you. It may not make sense. All right.
All right. All right.
I guess how do I want to explain this?
I don't know, man. Just work it
So
out. Just work it out in your head. That's what I do. I just start talking and just hope it comes out and think about it after.
pretty much, and hope it comes out in a
Yeah,
way that
man.
makes sense. Now, I think a lot of it is that more people want to be right than more people want results. I
Mm,
think like so right, look at two situations. In one scenario, you're gonna go take a test. You're gonna get a 5 out of 10 on that test, but everybody at home is gonna believe you got a 10 out of 10. In the other scenario, you take the same test, you get a 10 out of 10, but everybody at home thinks you got a 5 out of 10. More people would rather have everybody think that they got the 10 out of 10 when they actually have a 5, as opposed to actually having the 10 and people thinking they have a 5. I guess what I mean by that is everybody wants to be right. So everybody's saying my way is the best way.
hmm
And I think that's what I work through with a lot of my clients. It's like, there is no diet that's going to be objectively better other than the diet that you're actually going to stick to. I know what you saw Caitlyn Jenner put on Instagram. Got it. It was cute. It may not work for you. I know what you saw, like Liver King or any of these guys. Like, I'm not knocking any of these people,
Sure.
but it's like they are different people than you. They like different foods. There's different things that are going to be sustainable to them long periods of time. If whatever you're doing is not sustainable for a long period of time, it's not going to work realistically. So I've had conversations with guys who are like, well, I keep trying keto and I can't lose weight. It's like, well, are you actually sticking to the diet for longer than a week or two and not cheating on it? Because if you hate the diet that you've chosen, you're going to cheat on that diet, which is why I come and tell you about things like vanilla protein powder with chocolate on top to make things taste like actual milkshakes, right? I need you on a diet that you love. Okay. So because that's where the results are. And I think the more people want to come to the table saying, hey, look at this. I just wrote it. It's the new next best thing. This right here. Everybody needs
Sure.
some of this. The reality is that because that's happening so many times, I think there's just so many different thoughts. I guess what's the word for it? Thought circles you could join about what the best thing for nutrition is. But it's like if you're not doing it, it's not gonna help you.
Yeah.
So if you're choosing something that you hate, it's not gonna get you the results of the person who did it every day regardless,
Yeah.
right? So you've got to choose what works for you, and you can't get sucked into everybody online wanting to be right
Mm,
because they're going to tell you that their way is the best way.
yeah.
I'm going to tell you honestly, what works for me may not work for you. I think what works for
Thank
me
you.
is probably going to work for you because I enjoy being able to eat tacos and milkshakes and cheeseburgers and all of these things while I'm on a diet based on kind of the recipes I use and the way that I operate. If we're all kind of saying my way is the best way, right, then we're just getting confused on how many different ways there are. Like there are trillions of different ways, things
Sure.
you can eat and lose weight. If we're going to talk about all the different ingredient combinations you could put together to lose weight, probably in the trillions.
Hmm.
Okay. If you're not going to do it every day, it's not going to work.
Sure.
One. And two, I think it's since a lot of it is driven by capitalism right now, it's kind of like I need you to buy my program, buy into what I'm doing, buy into what I've got to say. It's like what you have to say might not help the other person on the other side of the screen, or like to the viewers listening now. Like if I say, "Hey, my dinner tonight planned, I've got tacos tonight," that may not resonate with somebody at home. So I could say that to you, and you're like, "Oh, I love tacos. Like I want to come eat with you. I want your diet, right? That sounds like fun." We get have a listener listening to us right now going, that's disgusting. I would rather have the healthy recipe for pizza. And it's like, well, okay, I can just send you that recipe, right? I only need you to get a certain number of calories and a certain number of grams of protein realistically to make this work. Everything else I can adjust to make sure that it's going to be something you like enough to stick to. But I think,
I like
and
it.
that's kind of, I guess, a long-winded version of my
No, I,
theory.
I
I
agree with your
think,
theory 100%. It's kind of what we've been talking about for this last hour that,
yeah.
if you go on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I don't know what else is out there, OnlyFans, whatever people are going to now.
Even
I don't know if
OnlyFans.
you go to OnlyFans for nutrition advice, but anyway,
It's
um,
very me centered.
but that everybody, like you said, everybody wants to be right, and like Liver King, he says, "Hey, eat this way, and you'll
Mhm.
look, like what does he say, primal, and eat liver and bone marrow."
Liver is king.
Yeah, like eat all that.
Well,
Like,
liver's great for you. Not a lot of people are going to want to eat that raw with molasses.
but
Like
there's also that I think, and I can't remember where I picked this up from, but you can eat liver, and I'm not like you said, it is great for you. It's one of the best things you can eat, but I think your body can only
exactly.
handle a certain amount of it. Like you're not really supposed to eat over a certain amount of, I forgot how many grams or ounces of liver in a day
Yeah,
or a week it is, just because it's something with the filtration system or whatever. But again, you know,
I think too much vitamin A, so you can end up poisoning yourself.
there you
You
go.
have a
That's
vitamin
what it is.
poison.
Yeah. So, and just that people really don't understand it. And I don't think Liver King is out there saying, "Hey, you might get too much vitamin A and end up poisoning yourself." He's just promoting his brand. And at the end of the
Right.
day,
We see that would get in the way of his supplement sales, and I think
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
what I mean by I need you to buy into me. I need you to buy into what I'm doing. I need you to buy into me being right
Mm-hmm.
for this whole thing to work,
Exactly.
which is I think why
Paul.
I can get such great results for people because
Yeah,
it's like I can tell you to eat this. If you're like I don't like that, then it's like all right, well, let's do something different. It doesn't have to be your results aren't going to come my way necessarily.
exactly.
My job is to make sure that your way is found and your way is found correctly,
Mm,
right? So
I
I
agree.
don't need to force you to do things my way. I really just need you to do something enough to kind of try things and let's figure out what your path is going to be.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it comes down to like exactly what you just said that, all right, let's sit down, let's find a program that works for you and we'll try it out for 2, 4, 3, whatever weeks it is. Let's talk about
Mhm.
what food you hate. Let's talk about taste you hate. If there's, and that way we can find something that exactly kind of fit your style. And along the way, this is not like 100% foolproof plan. And this is the way I'd see it. Like, all right, so after 4 weeks, we'll see what's good. If you wanted to gain muscle, if you wanted to lose weight, whatever your goal is, that then after 4 weeks, all right, let's figure out what was working, what's not working. How'd you adjust your lifestyle? And then we'll kind of go from there, and then we'll
Yeah,
just, tailor it out until we can find exactly like, hey, what little Johnny needs to become the next, DK Metcalf. So
right. And I think not a lot of people have the value of making appropriate adjustments. One, making the adjustments as fast as they need to, and two, making the right adjustments. I've definitely talked to people who are interested in the program, and it's like, well, what would I be eating exactly? It's
mm,
like, exactly, dude, I've been talking to you for the last 7.5 minutes. I don't know what I'm going to have you eat. I really couldn't tell you yet. We don't know each other. Like and I have to get to know you to be able to get you results,
I
because I
think
can tell you what gets me results that might not work for you.
sure.
It's not my job to talk about me. It's my job to get you results
Yeah. I
at
think
the end of
people
the day.
just want to be told what to do exactly and what to eat exactly. And then if
Right.
if it doesn't
Without
work,
thinking about that.
yeah, there's like, hey, and that's the reason, like, hey, what do you eat? Well, I'll just do that. And it's like what you said earlier in the podcast. Well, just because this is what I'm doing, that's not might not work for you. But people want that, and they want easy, and they don't want to be told, hey, I actually got to figure this kind of out on my own, or I got to cook something tonight. And I'm just
Right.
generally speaking. I'm not, everyone listening. I'm not, just basically saying everyone's a bad person, but just that everyone
Right.
wants easy. And
Not
I like
knocking
that.
you
I like
guys.
I like easy, but got to do a little work. Yeah, you got to figure stuff out.
Oh yeah.
So,
And I make sure that I'm not like just sending you off to figure it out on your own. It's like we're gonna sit down and have
see,
a
there you
talk
go.
about it. But throughout this process, I look at my program as like I if you want to go do a specific like coaching plan for a specific sport, I highly recommend that. Like if I was coaching somebody to lose weight and all of a sudden they wanted to go get like jujitsu coaching,
Yeah.
I recommend you 100% go get a jujitsu coach, right? But in general, the way I look at things is I want you to be able to undeniably change your weight for the positive or negative by yourself at will, whatever you want. Because realistically, I weigh about 190 now. If you gave me a month and told me I needed to be 210 in a month, I would be 210 in a month.
Yeah.
Just because it's doable for me. And that's what I look at when I'm writing somebody's program. It's like, okay, what is going to make sense for you in the rest of your life so you can keep these results, right? Because if you don't understand what we're doing here, you're going to have to pay a trainer for the rest of your life, right? If I can't walk you through what we're doing, why we're doing it, kind of why I'm making these decisions based on your particular life, right, and help you understand those things, you're gonna have to pay somebody forever. I don't want you to have to pay somebody forever to live the life that you want to, or to be the role model that you want to,
Mm.
right? I want to be able to teach you something that is gonna continue to work. Everything in life changes. For this to continue to work, you're going to have to be able to make an adjustment on the fly. It's not going to be anything huge, but you're going to have to be able to do a little something, something here and there as far as making adjustments. I want you to understand why we're making adjustments and kind of so you can do that on your own, right? It's not like, okay, you had a great job with me. Do you want to keep paying me or do you want to go pay somebody else, or how does that work, right? I'm trying to graduate you with knowledge, not develop this returning stream of people. Granted, I love all my clients. I really enjoy talking to them. Like they truly are really good friends to me after a certain point, right? But at the same time, I am coming into this trying to make you independent.
Mm.
That's gonna involve some certain conversations. It's gonna involve some work. Now you're not doing that work on your own, not kicking you out, right, so to speak. You're not putting you out on the front porch, but me and you, we're gonna have to do that work together because I can't do it for you on my own, and you can't just snap your fingers, wish the results
Mm.
without doing it. So like, it's just to make sure that they're not doing that work alone, so that because I like to look at it like, hey, I'm graduating you. I don't like to look at it as all right, cool, great job. See you later. Next, right? Like I really am looking at this like I am graduating you into a different quality of life from here on out. Now, if you want to go do a sport, like I said, find a specialist in that sport. I'm trying to graduate you into a different quality of life. And because of that, I'm gonna have to teach you some things. We're gonna have to do a little bit of work. You're not doing it on your own, but work is still work. I need you to, right? We still have to get these things done. Can't wish upon a star and get it there.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. That's cool, man. I think we should take it home on that right there. So if people want to find
Perfect.
you, if you want to plug your services or anything you want to plug, feel free to do that.
So realistically, just the easiest way to get in contact with me is either my Instagram, which is Austin underscore Wheeler 22. Pretty basic, I know. Just my name and underscore
I
and favorite.
like it.
And then realistically, if you got a lot of questions about coaching or you want some sort of coaching, the way I do coaching is online pretty much these days. And the reason for that is just I'm going to get more results with your diet and sleep than I am yelling at you during a set. So it's like I wanted to switch my focus into, okay, how am I going to coach more so on diet and sleep? Right. So I've got an application for that. It really only takes 5 minutes, but basically that kind of is going to align everything that I might need to suggest for you ahead of time. Kind of a lot of what we talked about today is if you came to me right now, Chris, and said, hey, I want to put on 5 pounds of muscle, what should I eat? I don't know. I don't know what you like. Right. I don't I don't know. Yeah. You're asking me questions before you told me the information that I need to be able to build your answer out for you,
Sure.
right? So that the application link, I can send it on over to you, but it's basically just kind of organize everything ahead of time.
Well, awesome. You're a badass dude, man. I'm glad we did this. Appreciate you being here.
Dude, you're a badass dude. I'm glad you had me. This was a lot of fun.
Good, man. Maybe we'll do it again sometime down the road then, man. A lot of new information always coming out, man. I can talk for days like this, but
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Well, all right, you the man again. So anything else you want to say or you need a plug or are you good?
That's all I've got. That's
Cool.
all I've got.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. We're out of here.
All right. Good night, guys. Good night, Chris. Y'all have a great evening.
And-